Hello friends, in this session we are going to talk about circles and the various terms related to circles. So friends, let's first understand the definition of a circle. Circle is collection of all the points in a plane which are at a fixed distance from a fixed point in the plane. So if we see this figure, which is a circle, we can say that O is the fixed point that we are talking about, and all the points on this are equidistant from this point O. So the fixed point that we are talking about, this O in this figure, is called the center of the circle, and the fixed distance, this distance that we have, is called the radius of the circle. So all the points on the circle are at a distance equal to the radius r from the fixed point O, which is the center of the circle. Now circle divides the plane into three parts. So we are saying this is the complete plane. So now this plane has been divided into three parts. The first is the interior of the circle, which is marked in this blue color. Then we have circle itself, which is the points on the circle. So we could say that if we draw this point P, we draw a point Q, and we could have multiple such points on the circle. And this complete boundary that we see here, that is circle itself. And the third part is the exterior of the circle. So for example, we have a point X here and a point Y here, or we could say that this complete area is the exterior of the circle. So a plane is divided into three parts. Now let's move to the terms related to other terms. We've just talked about the center and the radius. Let's talk about other terms related to the circle. The first is chord. What is a chord? Chord is a line segment joining any 2 points on the circle. So now this is important, the points on the circle. So here if we have points, say P, Q and R, these are the points that we've drawn on the circle. So if we join any 2 points like PQ here, or if we join P and R, then we'll get another chord which is PR. Or if we join RQ, then we could get another chord. And if similarly, if we could take multiple points on the circle and then we join any 2 points, then we get the chord. Diameter is that chord which passes through the center, and so O is the center here. So the chord that we draw, which supposing from point P we draw a chord which passes through O, then this is the chord that we get. Similarly, from point R, if we draw a chord which passes through the point O, this is the chord. And if we draw a chord from point Q passing through O, then we get this chord. So we can get multiple such chords. Now these chords are called the diameter. So the chord which passes through the center is the diameter, and this is the longest chord of the circle, and it is twice of the radius. So we know that P is r distance from O, and say for example we name this point S, and S is also r distance from O. So we can say that PS is 2r. So that is the diameter, which is 2 times the radius, and this is the longest chord. So if we move on either side of this chord, the chord size will decrease. Now what is an arc? The part of the circle is called an arc. So if we have this circle, then any part of the circle, say for example we take this part, it's an arc. We take this part, it's an arc. We take this part, it's an arc. So any part of that circle is an arc. Now when we have 2 points on the circle, so for example we take, say for example we take these 2 points, this and this, we call it say A and B. So now if we have these two points on the circle, so we have this arc AB and we have this arc AB. So the smaller one, this one is the minor arc and this is the major arc. So normally when we say it is represented, an arc is represented by AB and then we draw an arc on it. It's almost the same like for a line segment. We draw AB and then a line over it, and if we write AB with an arc over it, this represents an arc. So when we write this, it normally represents the minor arc AB. And if we have to talk about the major arc AB, we mark another point in between, say for example C, and we'll say ACB. We'll call it arc ACB to be clear that we are not talking about the minor arc AB, we are talking about the major arc. So let's see some more terms related to the circle. Now what is a semicircle? Semicircle is half of a circle. So when we have 2 points on the arc which lie on the diameter, so we are saying when we have this circle with the center O and we have, say for example, this diameter, and we mark these 2 points on the arc as A and B. Now these two arcs that are formed, this arc and this arc, these two are equal. There is no minor and major arc in case of a diameter. So diameter divides the circle into two equal arcs, and now these equal arcs are called semicircles. So a diameter is dividing the circle into two semicircles. Now circumference. Circumference is nothing but length of the circle. This is similar to the perimeter of a figure. Like supposing we have a square or a rectangle or a rhombus or a parallelogram, the length, say for example we take a rope and we fold it in this shape so as to make a square. So the length of the rope that will be required to make that square is called its perimeter. Similarly, if we take a rope and we draw this circle, so the length of the rope that will be required to make this circle is called its circumference. So this is a term which is specifically used for circles and is similar to the term perimeter used for the other shapes. Now coming to the next term, which is segment. The region between the chord and either of the arc is called a segment. So if we look at this figure that we've drawn here, we say that PQ is an arc and PQ is a chord also. If we talk about this line, it's a chord. If we talk about this curve, then PQ is an arc. So now region between this chord and the arc, so this is this region, this is called a segment, and this is also another segment. So we are saying that we again have minor segment, this is the minor segment, and the major segment. So minor arc and the chord, the area between the minor arc and the chord will be the minor segment, and the area between the major arc and the chord will be the major segment. Now we have another term called sector. What do we mean by the sector? Sector is a region between an arc. Say for example in this figure we have the arc PQ and the two radii joining the endpoints of the arc. Now endpoint of the arc is P and Q. So if we join these 2 points separately with the center of the circle, which is O, we get OP and OQ as the 2 line segments. So now the area, the region which is bound between the arc PQ and the two radii, which is OP and OQ, this is called the sector. So this is one sector and this is the other sector. So we can again say that we get a minor sector and a major sector. The minor arc PQ will correspond to the minor sector POQ, and if we have a major arc PQ, which is like arc PRQ, that will correspond to the major sector. And when the two arcs are equal, we know that each of them becomes a semicircle. So now supposing we had this here and this would be divided into two equal arcs, which is nothing but two semicircles, then both the segments and the sector become the same, because then if we are saying this is P dash and this is Q dash, then we are saying the chord itself is giving us the radius OP dash and OQ dash also. So by definition, we originally had that if we have OPQ and we have PQ arc, then we draw the chord PQ and the area bounded by the chord and the arc is the segment, and the area bounded by the arc and the two radius formed by joining the endpoints of the arc, they give us a sector. Now in the case of a diameter P dash Q dash, we have the chord coinciding with the two radii, so the sector and the segment become the same and there is no minor or major segment. These are two semicircular regions. So we don't have any minor sector or major sector, we don't have a minor arc and a major arc, we don't even have a minor segment or major segment, we just have two semicircular regions. So friends, we're talking about a lot of terms related to the circle. We started with the center and the radius, and then we have the circle itself, and then we have arc, minor arc, major arc, segment, sector, and a lot of terms related to it. What is the use of all these terms, and what is the use of dividing the circle into so many different terminologies and different shapes and different regions? So supposing we want to find out the area or perimeter of circular regions or a part of the region within the circle, that is where these terms are going to be very useful. Supposing we have a triangular play area within a circular region, say for example we have this circle and then we have a triangular play area within it, and this remaining part is grass. Now supposing we want to find out the area and the perimeter of this area which is grassed, or the area which is a play area, then we'll need the terms like arc, sector, and so on, because that is how we're going to find out the area. If angle that a sector makes at the center is known, we can find out its circumference or vice versa. So now supposing in this figure, if we have this sector that gets formed, if we know this angle that it forms at the center, then we can find out its circumference or the area, or vice versa means that supposing we know the circumference, we can find out what angle does that sector make at the center. And again, in higher geometry, when we have multiple figures drawn inside a circle, these terms are very, very useful for finding different parameters like angle, distance of the chord, length of the chord, etc. That is very highly useful in the higher geometry, and of course there are many more things related to it. Now we learn all of these as we understand the different theorems related to circles in different sessions. So based on the theorems, we're going to see how these terms are very, very useful in the higher geometry. Friends, I hope you enjoyed the session. If you find it useful, please like it and share it with your friends. You can visit us at our Cool Smart Learning website and post your queries there. And please subscribe to the Cool Smart Learning channel for getting updates on the new sessions. Thank you.